are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We thank you so much for making today's episode of Locked On Eagles and all episodes of Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. I'm Louie DiBiase. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. It's brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. Pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on your entry. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code LOCKEDON. That's prizepicks.com, promo code LOCKEDON. You can find our show Monday through Friday on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Hit us up on Twitter at LockedOnBirds and at DiBiase LOE. Excited today to dig deeper into the X's and O's of this Eagles-Colts matchup Sunday at 1 o'clock at Lucas Oil Stadium. When was the last time the Eagles played there? 2014, right? When the Eagles went 2-0. It was Nick Foles versus Andrew Luck on Monday Night Football, led by Jeremy Maclin and Darren Sproles and LaShawn McCoy. So it's been a while since they've been in Indianapolis. And the Eagles looking to bounce back from their first loss of the season Monday night against Washington. We'll dive into the storylines, the matchups to watch, and predictions later on this crossover Thursday edition of the podcast. But first, I had to get into yet another signing made by the Eagles and general manager Howie Roseman. So we all know yesterday, on Wednesday, there were a flurry of moves to the roster, right? Dallas Goedert and Marlon Tuipulotu were both placed on injured reserve. Tyree Jackson was activated from the PUP list to the 53-man roster. And the Eagles added a nose tackle, 34-year-old veteran Linval Joseph, to help a bleeding run defense right now that's getting absolutely gashed by the likes of Dameon Pierce and Brian Robinson. And coming up next, you got Jonathan Taylor. You've got Derrick Henry. You've got 2 matchups with Saquon Barkley on the schedule. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. It's not going to get easier for this Eagles defensive line. So Howie Roseman brought in some help while Jordan Davis is still out for a few more weeks with that ankle injury. Bringing in Linval Joseph, well, he was not done. Today on Thursday, the Eagles officially agreed to a 1-year contract with defensive tackle Ndamukong Suh, who the last time we saw him, it was actually in the 2021 wildcard matchup against the Eagles. Suh has not played in 2022, but Howie Roseman said after losing Jordan Davis, after losing Marlon Tuipulotu, he was not going to settle for what he had on the defensive line. He saw a problem with the run defense, and he is going to solve it. And I, again, love the aggression of Howie here. Basically, he saw that this team had its Achilles heel. It had the one issue that could really hold them back from reaching their Super Bowl potential. And Roseman, it just feels like this year is hell-bent on getting a championship, maybe even more than 2017. He is as motivated to prove the world wrong about who he is as a GM. And it feels like he's going for the ring. Any issues that the Eagles could have that could hold them back from their potential, he's trying to solve it instantly. And I love that aggression. He's going for it, bringing in Linval Joseph, bringing in Ndamukong Suh. Are these guys amazing players anymore? No. 34-year-old Joseph hasn't played at all this year, wasn't great last year with the Chargers. Suh hasn't played at all this year either. He's not nearly the Pro Bowl player he used to be, but they're both veterans that could be, I think, solid in a rotation, both former Pro Bowlers. And to make a move, 2 moves this deep into the regular season after the NFL trade deadline, Howie did as good as you could do. Suh actually last year, it seemed like he had a lot of juice still rushing the passer. He had 6 sacks. He really went after Jalen Hurts a lot. He gave him fits in that playoff game. So, we'll see. Is he rusty? Same question I asked with Linval Joseph yesterday. Is Ndamukong Suh healthy and fresh since he hasn't played this year, or is he going to be rusty? I'm not sure, but Roseman's going to find out. It didn't cost him much, and he's hell-bent on making sure this roster is ready to go for a playoff push. Anytime there's issues, he solves it. I love having a GM like that, especially when it comes to the trenches. So here's the thing about Howie Roseman and the Eagles. They sometimes will try to get by at other positions, but in the trenches, not only do they want and need to have stars in the starting lineup, but they refuse to not have depth either. You're seeing it with the defensive tackle spot, and you saw it with the defensive end spot too earlier when they traded for Robert Quinn. Could they have gotten by with Josh Sweat, Hassan Riddick, and Brandon Graham after Derek Barnett got injured? Probably. But Howie Roseman not only wants to be top heavy in the trenches, he wants to be, especially in the defensive line, 8 to 10 deep in a rotation. And that's what he has right now, even with Jordan Davis and Tui Peloto injured. So he wants to make sure the defensive line is always deep and talented. So Jordan Davis still with that ankle injury, going to be out a few more weeks. So he brings in Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh for help because, Jonathan Gannon seems like he's hell-bent on still keeping the box light inside and having more bodies in the secondary for coverage. And if he's going to do that, Howie realized what they have is not good enough. Fletcher Cox has been struggling mightily against the run over the last month. Javon Hargrave, look, he's on fire right now with 6 sacks in the last 3 games, but he's not the best run stopper either this year. And Milton Williams, the same player, I feel like all 3 of those guys are more heavy on the pass rush and, not nearly the run stoppers that Jordan Davis was. So if this is going to be the scheme that continues, Howie had to do something. So he brings in Linval Joseph. He brings in Ndamukong Suh. I would say when Jordan Davis does come back, though, in a few weeks, because now you look at the rotation, you've got Fletcher Cox, who's still going to play a lot. I mean, he played 70% of the snaps on Monday night. Javon Hargrave, of course, is going to be a starter. When Jordan Davis comes back, he's going to be a top 3 player in that rotation. You have Milton Williams. I think when everybody's healthy, outside of Tui Peloto, because I think that injury, the signing of Suh and Joseph, to me says Tui Peloto's injury is probably season ending. But when Jordan Davis comes back, I would say in that rotation of, because when they were fully healthy this year, they had a 5-man rotation. In Tui Peloto and Milton Williams, they were the 4 and 5. When Davis comes back, they're at 6 defensive tackles on the open roster. So I would say at that point, the odd man out will probably be Linval Joseph. Joseph seems like the stopgap for now until Davis comes back, that 300-pound plus nose tackle to help out. But once Davis comes back, he's going to instantly go back into that role. And Ndamukong Suh definitely provides way more pass rushing juice than Joseph does. So I feel like Suh will be a bigger piece to the puzzle moving forward this year when they are fully healthy, as opposed to Joseph. But I like the moves. I like what it represents when it comes to the Eagles' philosophy in the trenches, their aggression, and really trying to maximize this window they have this year at 8-1. And I love that they're going for it.